How's it going, guys? NeedlessSpace here. Today we're going to be talking about Destiny 2 and a complete guide for the Menagerie, how to finish every encounter and all the triumphs along the way. Welcome to the channel where we always do fast, efficient guides that get straight to the point. If you can appreciate that, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. So before you can start the Menagerie, you do have to knock out a few missions for Benedict 9940. He's located on the barge in Nessus. This will also kind of give you a rundown on how the chalice and reward system works for the Menagerie. So the Menagerie is sort of like an easier mini raid with matchmaking. Basically, it consists of multiple encounters that earn you points depending on how well you and your team do. And then when you get enough points and fill up the meter, you will be sent to the final boss, which rotates each week. So first encounter we're going to talk about is lamp lighting. Now this is going to be the same every time you enter. This is the one that will remain consistent. And when you jump in with your team, you're going to see enemies start coming in from the doors around the edge of the room. And shortly thereafter, a boss will spawn. What you guys have to do is kill the boss and grab the orbs that it drops and light the giant lamps. There's going to be 6 of them around the center of the room. Rinse and repeat and do this until all 6 of the lamps are lit. And there's actually a secret triumph you can get if you have each person light a single lamp, since there's 6 of you and 6 lamps. Next encounter we're going to cover is the Hunted. Now this one takes place with 5 chambers, each with a plate in the center. There's going to be 1 on each corner and then 1 in the center of the room. When you start the objective, it's going to mark 2 of these plates, and you guys are going to have to capture each one while waves of thrall are coming at you, and giant knights will spawn as well. Now the best way to do this is to split up in teams of 3, that way you can capture 2 at a time. And also when you kill the big knights, it will help the progress bar fill up as well. Next encounter we're going to cover is the Arcborn. So when you start this one, you're going to see these green glowing lights scattered around the area. These are souls that you guys have to collect. Now you can only hold up to 3 maximum, and then once you grab 3, bring them to the marked locations and dunk them. You have to be fairly quick, as there is a timer that starts when you pick up the first one, and it will reset itself every time you pick up a soul. And if it does count down to 0, it will kill you instantly. So this one's fairly straightforward. Pick up 3 souls, dunk them, rinse and repeat until the first boss will spawn. Now the first boss is going to be this giant ogre. Melt him as a team, then go back to collecting souls. Once you get enough again, the second boss will spawn, which is actually 2 hive wizards. Again, destroy these wizards, go back to collecting souls. And then finally, once you get enough souls, the final boss for this encounter will spawn, which is actually the ogre and the 2 wizards all together at the same time. Once you kill these 3, you have finished the encounter. Alright, so the next encounter we're going to cover is the crystals. So for this one, you're going to see enemies start spawning around the room. Have your team spread out and take out the Vex Harpies that you encounter. When you kill a Vex Harpy, it drops what's called a Vex Cranium. And when you pick these guys up, you'll notice they shoot a beam of energy. This is the only thing that can destroy these purple crystals scattered around the room inside the walls. So do not waste them on other enemies. They are pretty powerful and can destroy enemies very quickly, but if you use them efficiently, they can take out 2 crystals for each one. Once you destroy all the crystals in the room, a boss will spawn. This is where you can use the Vex Craniums that are left over to do damage to the boss, because it does do quite a bit of damage. Once you kill the boss, basically it's rinse and repeat after that, and you'll be on your way to finish the encounter. Alright, the next encounter we're going to cover is the Mockery. So when this one starts, there's going to be 3 havens marked around the room with bubbles around them. When you're inside these areas, you're protected, but when you leave, there's a timer that starts counting down, and if it runs out, you get a debuff called Touch of the Deep, and it basically slowly damages you until you die. So what you have to do is run out of the bubbles, kill the hive wizards that are scattered around, grab the orbs from the wizards, bring them back to the haven, and dunk them. If you fail to do so on each haven, the area will basically shrink until the haven gets destroyed. So you want to obviously split your team up to have 2 people at each haven to keep it fully open. And then keep this going until the ogre bosses spawn, and you're going to have to take them out to finish the encounter. Now you can get a triumph by keeping all 3 havens intact by the time you finish and kill the ogre bosses. Alright, the next encounter we have is the riposte. So for this one, you're going to see some enemies flooding into the room. Make sure to take out the hive knights first and pick up the swords that they drop. You're going to have to use these swords to take down the white shields on the shielded knights. Now, the best way to do this is to have 1 or 2 people using the swords to take down the shields while the rest of your team just melts the enemy as soon as the shield drops. You're going to keep doing this until you get all the shielded knights down. Then some ogres are going to spawn with white shields. Again, you're going to have to use the swords that are dropped from the knights to take down the shields on these ogres. It's a little more difficult since their close range attack is so devastating. Just make sure you have your team with you to take down the ogre as soon as its shield drops. And then when you kill the ogre bosses, you are finished with the encounter. Next up, and the last encounter, is the gauntlet. This is probably my favorite one. So you're going to see enemies start spawning in the room like normal, and then a boss is going to spawn in the center. Take out that boss, and as soon as it's down, it's going to teleport your team into the outer area of the map, which is the gauntlet. Basically, it's a race against the clock. Your whole team has to run through these circular checkpoints, and when you hit the checkpoint, the time will reset. And you actually do have quite a bit of time between each checkpoint, so don't get in a rush. The main objective here is to not fall. Once your team makes it through, or at least 1 person through the entire lap, you'll get transported back out into the room, and another boss is going to be in the center. Again, melt this boss, and you'll be transported back into the gauntlet, except this time there are going to be some flames that you have to avoid, and they will instantly kill you. So avoid the flames. Again, take your time. Once you get at least 1 teammate to cross the finish line, you'll be transported back into the room again to kill another boss. After the boss is down, you'll have to do your final lap of the gauntlet. There are still going to be flames, but this time they can move and kind of fade in and out. Once you have at least 1 person finish the last lap of the gauntlets, you will complete the encounter. Now, obviously, the more players you get to finish each lap, the higher score you will have. And you can get a triumph for getting all 6 players to complete a lap, and you'll get another triumph for getting all 6 players to complete every single lap. Now, keep in mind, you'll probably only have to do between 2 and 4 of these encounters before you are transported to the boss. That is the objective, is to get the highest score you can to get to the boss as quickly as possible. Now, as I mentioned before, the bosses are on a weekly rotation. There are 3 separate ones. So to end up defeating each boss, you will have to do this over a span of 3 weeks. Alright, so the first boss encounter we're going to cover is Hasapiko, the Vex Minotaur. So for this one, 3 harpies are going to spawn into the room. You're going to have to take out these harpies and they'll drop a pool on the ground. Once you're standing in this pool, you can do damage to the boss to take his shield down. And after his shield is down, that's the damage phase. Now, as you're shooting at him, there are enemies that are going to spawn around him, and he will also spawn these giant grid-like walls that appear next to him, and they'll kind of slowly creep towards you. If one of these walls touches you, it will instantly kill you. It's not too bad. You basically just have to focus on doing damage to him while keeping an eye on these death walls. Now, you can get a triumph by having only 1 player in each of the harpy pools at the beginning. Don't have more than 1 damage the harpy or stand in the pool and do damage to the shield. Alright, the next boss we're going to cover is Arunok, the Hive Ogre. So when this fight starts, you're going to notice some cursed thralls that are spawning on the outside of the room. What you're going to have to do is take down these thralls, and then they're going to drop some relics. Pick up the relics and throw them at the ogre. This is how you take down that white outer shield, just like we did for the Minotaur boss. Once that shield is down, it's the damage phase, so go ahead and try to melt him. But be mindful, he does spawn a pair of yellow bar knights that are pretty powerful. If you're really up for a challenge, do not kill these knights, as you can get a triumph for it. Alright, so the third and final boss we're going to talk about is Paguri the Vex Hydra. So when this one starts, the Hydra is going to lock itself behind a shield, and you're going to notice there's 3 plates located around the room, 1 in the center and then 1 on either side. What you have to do is find the active one and stand on it, and when the meter fills, it'll lure the boss out towards you, and that's when the damage phase starts. That's when you're going to want to melt him as fast as possible. If you don't end up killing him, he'll just go back behind the shield, and then you'll have to rinse and repeat. Now, you can get a triumph on this one as well. The way you do that is lure the boss to a different plate. each time, only once. So you have to lure him to all 3 plates only one time and then make sure he dies, and then you'll end up getting a triumph. Alright guys, I hope this video helped you out even a little bit. If it did, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel where we do quick, fast, efficient, straight to the point guides. I will catch you guys next time, and as always, good luck and have fun.